Welcome to another edition of Tuscaloosa Talks. Today we're here at The Edge, which is right in the heart of Councilwoman Raevan Howard's district. So we're glad to be here at The Edge, which is a business entrepreneurial center in partnership between the University of Alabama, the West Alabama Chamber of Commerce, and the city of Tuscaloosa. We may get a chance to talk about that a little later, but the real reason why we're having this podcast is to talk to this amazing person here who represents District 2. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. And yourself?
I'm doing good. You told me you were busy today, and it was your day job keeping you busy. So yes. I think that's a good way to start telling the story of who Raevan Howard is. You're a social worker by training and by trade.
Yes.
So tell me about what you do as a social worker every single day.
Well, in the past year, I just transitioned into school social work. So I've been enjoying working with students in elementary school and middle school, and really paying attention to their social and emotional needs. And that has become a major part of what they do at school, especially since we've been going through COVID-19. We have a lot of students that have not had the normal academic school year. We have a lot of parents that have had to make some transitions at home because of students being at home from COVID-19 and being having to shelter in place and having our schools closed. So me being in the school system and being able to focus on the social and emotional needs of our students has been very important in the classroom setting.
So what are some of the things that you're seeing that COVID-19 is doing negatively that's impacting our students?
Wow, there are so many issues that are starting to arise with our students. And some of my major concerns is that some of our students are having a hard time just transitioning into the classroom and knowing how to have those expected behaviors that we expect them to have as teachers, as parents, as faculty and staff in our schools. Mm-hmm. So it's very important that I am able to communicate with those students one-on-one or in small groups, or sometimes during the week I get to talk to them in a classroom setting, just to make sure that they know that all of their needs, from their educational needs to their learning needs at home to their emotional needs, are all very important to those individuals that they work with on an everyday basis, and that they have someone as a trusted adult that they can talk to. Now,
being both a practitioner and being trained in the field of social work, have you found that a good asset to have in politics?
Definitely. Before I was a school social worker, I worked in the intensive in-home services unit, and I partnered with DHR. So I was able to be out in the community, not in the classroom setting, and I would be out at homes taking care of the needs of the community, the needs of individuals that I work with. So I have a lot of experience of recognizing problems in the community, recognizing problems in homes, and helping be resourceful to those individuals and helping provide the resources that they need to fix those problems. So being a problem solver is very important when you're a politician. So it is like a smooth transition, or at least I find it that it is.
Now, you grew up in a political family. Your father served 2 terms on the Tuscaloosa City Council.
Yes.
Did any of that influence your decision to run?
Definitely. And even before my father was a politician, he was always involved with issues that concern the community. So he was involved and always speaking out about his concerns with the Board of Education, on the city council. And so we were always there in those meetings. We were always hearing about these issues. He had us very in line and in tune with what was going on in the city. And I don't remember the ease of access back then, where we could sit down and watch the city council meetings, but he always found the way to make sure we knew how to find that information and to find out what was going on with local government. And so that did play a big part. That's what kind of sparked my interest.
So when you decided to run, I guess it was 5-6 years ago?
Yeah, it's about 6 years ago.
Yeah, but it really doesn't seem that long. And so when you decided to run, what was the issue or issues that said, okay, I want to go and represent District 2 and make a difference?
Several issues. But more importantly, I felt like I wanted, first of all, when we talk about, my involvement and my family's involvement in politics, I've always been involved in politics. Mm-hmm. So even as a middle school student, I was going before the Board of Education and speaking out about issues that concern my community.
Really, as a middle school student?
As a middle school student.
Were you not scared to death or nervous?
Being a preacher's daughter also, I have, my father is a preacher, so I just have that comfort of public speaking, I guess. And so, no, it really didn't bother me that much speaking before the Board of Education, or at least as I remember now. I don't remember having that fear, but that interest grew more and more as I went into high school. And so I continued to speak and engage and be involved with things on the city council and especially the Board of Education, because I was in school. So that was more so of my concerns at that time. And so after graduation, I went on to college and kind of focused on myself and the family. And then once that was complete, then I was ready to get back and focus on my community, give all of my attention to my community. And so that's what I'm doing now. So that's kind of how I transitioned into the role that I am now on the Tuscaloosa City Council.
And so what were the issues that drove you to say, you know what, I want to go represent District 2?
And so thank you for reminding me of the question. So yes, a lot of issues, but more importantly, I wanted a chance to represent my community. I think one of the main issues that concerned me was the lack of representation for our youth, or a lot of concerns that we had for our youth at that time, which seems even more now with a lot of the issues that are going on concerning COVID, or just concerning maybe the lack of funding for certain organizations or entities that are trying to provide different benefits to our youth. So that was one thing. I felt like there could have been a little bit more done when it came to economic development or infrastructure in our community, not just in District 2, but I was thinking about more so of West Tuscaloosa. So I wanted to have a seat at the table to address those issues, whether it was lighting or sidewalks or connectivity or just programming at certain facilities. I wanted to be an individual that could have some say and make some decisions about those issues.
Well, you've done well. I mean, you look at MLK Jack Warner Parkway that's under construction, and that will be the largest city infrastructure investment in our history.
And I'm very excited.
It is, and it's going to get. I mean, I know it's a long project, but the work that's being done will last decades, and it's going to help us continue to revitalize West Tuscaloosa. Let's talk about something else you've been a key part of, and that's Liberty Recycling. You've taken a lead role on it's been, quite frankly, it has been a problem for decades, and we've both inherited it, but we've never accepted it. And you have done some extraordinary work. Give the people of Tuscaloosa an update of where we are on that.
Well, Mayor, I love the way you just you just commented on that. We both inherited the problem, but we have never accepted it. So right now, my fight with Liberty started from day one of me being in office, from my first term. That was one of the first issues that I heard from my community when I was on the campaign trail. So that necessarily wasn't on my radar before I ran, but when it did become on my radar, I was 100% focused and adamant, and I promised my community that I would be just as committed to fixing or help fix the problem as they had over the past few years. So finally, where we are right now today is that Liberty has finally agreed to relocate outside of District 2. And this has been a request that the community has had for years, but it has been something that I have tried to my best. I have worked with the cities, the city staff, our legal department, other legal entities, and we have all talked about and offered solutions and did everything that we could to make this happen sooner than it has. But currently, Liberty is in a process of moving outside of District 2. And so to have that business removed from such a close neighborhood, from a daycare, from a church, so many individuals that have been affected negatively from that business's presence in my district, they will finally get some relief. And I am hoping that by the beginning of this summer, that Liberty would have completed their move. And once they relocate, and Mayor, you know that with that business being grandfathered into the community, once they relocate, they won't be able to come back. And so that's a big victory for this community.
It's huge, and you've done a remarkable job with it. Another thing that I think you've done a fabulous job is you're heading up our efforts on getting a new Benjamin Barnes Branch YMCA. What are your hopes and dreams for a new Benjamin Barnes YMCA?
Oh, man, this is one of the most exciting things that I'm getting to do right now as councilwoman. So I am the chairwoman for the site selection committee for the Benjamin Barnes YMCA. And so anyone that knows a little bit more about Tuscaloosa, we do know that the Benjamin Barnes YMCA sits in the heart of District 1, but I have been fighting. This is another fight that I have been consistent with from day one. And this was one of those issues where I felt like there could be more done for our youth if they had a better facility. And so through the site selection committee that I have been able to chair, we have been able to talk about not just the facility, but if we had a better facility, then what could the programming at that facility look like? So From this committee, we are hoping to determine the best location, and I believe that we've been working with some professional consultants that have given us some very good recommendations, and so we are hoping to choose the best site for this facility. And then once that is done, and which it will be very soon, we are going to go right into what does the programming need to look like. And of course, we are keeping the most important aspect of this project in mind, and that is our youth.
Yep, and I think it's going to be, again, this is something that we both inherited, and the city actually has no obligation to the YMCA in terms of, that it's operated on its own. But we've all seen that the YMCA in West Tuscaloosa, Benjamin Barnes Branch YMCA, was not performing for our young people. And this has been another exciting partnership between the city, the YMCA, and again, your heart and passion on this is to be commended. Now, one last thing before I just a couple of quick things on a personal side I want to touch on is your chairwoman of the Public Safety Committee at the city. We recently just passed a historic pay increase for our firefighters and police officers. Talk a little bit about why you felt it was important that we do that.
Oh, wow. I am so excited about that. That was just this past Tuesday. And once we voted yes, we immediately started to hear the gratitude and thanks from our first responders here in the city and our police department, everyone. And so that's important to me because our first responders, our police department, they are there, morning, noon, and night during the holidays. When we're sleeping, they are always on the job, making sure that we have someone to turn to when we have an emergency. And so it's important that we provide the best that we can to them and to make sure that they know that they are appreciated here in the city of Tuscaloosa.
Well, your leadership has helped us to do that, and I want you to know that I'm thankful for it, and I know the people of Tuscaloosa are, because I've always felt that public safety is our first priority at the city. That's number one thing we have to get accomplished. All right,
Agreed.
Couple of quick questions. We'll close up. Now, you just had twins.
I did, yes.
Now, tell the audience the names.
So the twins, actually, we were hoping for a boy, and it ended up being 2 girls. So I'm gonna have a long talk with God one day. But the twins were named after their grandmothers, and so my mother is Kimberly Howard. So one twin is named Kimberly, and the other twin is named Christine.
Now, are you sleeping at all?
Finally, the twins will be 6 months and about a week. So yes, they're finally getting to where they sleep. Now,
I think in December you and I were talking. You said one would stop crying, then the other one would start crying.
Yes.
Are they still on that cycle?
They still have very different personalities. One is very outgoing and playful all day, all night, and the other one is kind of laid back and chill. But it's very interesting. One twin caters more to one daughter, and the other twin caters more to another daughter, and those twins kind of have the same personality of each daughter. So it's very fun to see my children grow up together like this.
Yeah.
It's interesting to have little babies in the house and then have big kids too.
Now, how are the big kids adjusting?
They're adjusting. I think they like being big sisters. I'll see them like doing the baby's hair or getting them dressed, and I'm like, it's almost like they have real life baby dolls. So I love to see their relationship develop. Yeah. And
they'll have those bonds for the rest of their lives.
I hope, yes.
Well, I know they must be up early because I'm an early riser, and if I send something to you at 5:02 a.m., you're responding right back, and I'm thinking, boy, I bet you she's up with that.
I am. And Mayor, I do just want to say on a personal note, I have 4 girls now and 1 boy. My son gets lost in the house. Like, if he could take a day off from school, he would say no. He would go to school. He catches the bus when the girls are like, Mom, can you drop me off? So I just wanted to just give a shout out to my son because I don't mention him much, and he's very quiet and laid back. So I do have a son, and he's a very good kid.
I could imagine he could get lost in that shovel.
Yes, I think he prefers to get lost. He'll stay in his room.
Well, I don't know what you take to have all this energy, but you're always there for your job as a social worker. You're certainly always there as a mother and a wife and somebody that just loves and embraces family. And then you're always there for our city. And,
thank you.
And so we're very, very fortunate to have you as councilwoman. I feel very fortunate to work with you.
Thank you.
Every single day. And so I'm glad the people of Tuscaloosa got to know a little bit about you. Sometimes, and what's been really great about these podcasts is I've had people comment, I didn't know that about that person. They may only see or hear or read about our public facing responsibilities, which is understandable, but when they get to know a little bit about us, a mother, a social worker, an advocate for the community, it gives people insight to why we think the way we do. So thank you for taking a few minutes today to be with us.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
And this has been another edition of Tuscaloosa Talks.